Okay, great. I am calling the meeting to order. We will start with roll call.
Board member Sheree Atkins. Here. Chair Amanda Houston.
Here.
Board member Jesse Hopkins Hubbard. Here. Board member Julia Kitely. Here. Board member Tim O'Leary.
Here.
Library director Corey Burkle. Here. Staff note taker Audrey Smith present.
Moving on to accept the consent calendar.
I make a motion to accept the consent calendar.
I second.
Anything to mention about the library use report, Corey? I move on.
I would say, I think, we're seeing how our hours are impacting our statistics a little bit with our, not so much circulation events, but, with the door count. So I think I would just point that out. It's a little bit lower than I would like. But not terrible. So I'm hoping to, I'll talk more about that in a little bit.
Okay. Sorry, before we move forward, should we acknowledge Jessica at all? This is our first, sorry. Yeah.
problem.
Thanks for inviting. Yeah. Awesome. Sorry, I just noticed and we don't, yeah. Just want to acknowledge that you are here and present and this is your first meeting. Okay,
Welcome.
welcome.
That's all.
Yeah. All right, any public comments?
No public comment.
Great. Moving on to current library narrative.
Always adorable.
Need to print a book of these things.
Oh, absolutely.
It was so fun. We had one today that I didn't put on here because it just happened today. But we had I'm just gonna tell you about it because it was so cute. So Samantha on our children's staff does such a phenomenal job with the library mascot. And I should have brought you some pictures, but she comes up with these little scenarios for the mascot. So every week, well, Julia's seen them in the library too. So every week, during cozy reading, the mascot moves someplace new in the library, and she has, like in one, she had it sitting in a popcorn bucket, and it's an otter. She had it sitting in a popcorn bucket, eating popcorn and watching it was on the DVD shelf upstairs, and it was watching a movie about otters, and she made this like mini TV for it and everything. Like it always has these amazing props.
She does.
So she, I mean, when I hit it, it was like, it's on top of her shelf, she is really up the ante on this. So she's so good. So the kids have really started comparing it to more like Elf on the Shelf kind of things, So the cozy reading is over. And the kids have been coming in to pick up their prizes. So this young child came in to pick up the mascot, and her mom hadn't told her that she'd won the mascot, but we do tell people ahead of time whether it's a regular prize or a mascot, because we want to, set those expectations appropriately, because mascots are so enormously popular that we want to just, let them down a little bit before they come in. So this little girl was super, super excited. And then she said, and I know even if I forget to take him to bed, he will come and snuggle with me because, he loves to snuggle and because he moves.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And the mom was just like,
I've adopted a new thing.
Yeah, now she has to move the otter.
Time.
and she said, but I can touch, because you're not supposed to touch Elf on the Shelf or it loses the magic or something like that. We didn't do it, so.
Yeah.
But she said, but I can touch the otter because he has a different kind of magic.
Oh my
And the
God.
mom was just like, oh
Yeah.
my goodness. And it was just
Maybe
like
that
this
means he
whole
also
thing.
moves like really less frequently than
Yes,
now.
maybe it
Like
does.
once a month.
Yeah,
Very slow.
I'm sure she will have to figure out the mom will have to figure all of these things out. But on the way out, Samantha heard her asking, will I smother, her name is Opal, will I smother Opal if I sleep with her? And the mom's like, I'm sure she'll be able to breathe.
Yeah.
What have you done?
Yeah.
So I told Samantha, I mean, you have created some real library magic there
Yeah.
where kids are so sure that this little.
When we were here to pick up the Sloan won a prize, and Sloan, like, from the very first day of cozy reading, you know, you have them out, and she was like, that isn't what I wanted. And I was like, oh, well, I hope you get picked, and then, you know, and so she did, she worked really hard, she worked hard, all cozy reading program, turned in all of her steps in. And then she got a prize, and so I was like, all right, well, I'll cancel my plans for Saturday and wait outside this door at 10 a.m. Cause, oh
There's the
man, if
line.
she doesn't
Yep.
get the one, so we get there are tons of people talking about Opal. Opal, get Opal, like, there were multiple moms like, if I don't get Opal, and I'm like, oh no. Like, I don't think you do. But people are obsessed with the mascot. Yeah.
They were, yeah. I think it's also a great opportunity for parents to talk to kids about, what does happen when you don't get the Opal that you're thinking you're going to get. And, we did have a parent who was some of the behavior was like, okay, well, let's just remember this is a $10
Yes.
stuffy from Amazon.
Yeah.
That you can go buy, like.
I did that one year.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's,
Yeah.
like, that's totally up to you, but if your child doesn't
You're
win
not that
Opal,
bad.
we're not, like, there's no switching around that's going to happen to make this happen, like, we're very honest about how the prices
And we were
go.
here for maybe like 30 minutes. I heard 3 different parents go up to the children's desk asking like, where do we get it? Like,
Yeah.
how do we find this? But yeah, it's
Yeah.
just funny because
Yeah.
I don't think I even have introduced the girls to like the mascot thing because I'm afraid. of, like,
That's how
I'm
I'm
afraid
afraid
of magic.
all those
It's
kids
totally
who are
magic.
motivated
Yeah.
to read.
Yeah,
So-
there were almost 900 entries. to the
Wow.
mascot. So,
Wow, yeah.
which is it's a lot less than what happens during the summer, but that's a much bigger program during the summer too, so. But yeah, it was.
Yes, Saturday I came to return books and
Yeah.
I saw
There's-
Amanda waiting with the girls and I was just like, wow, what am I? And I
Yeah.
went, oh, cozy reading.
Yeah, well, and we got here, like a little bit before 10, and I thought, oh, for sure, it's gonna be fine. No, there was like a bunch of people.
Oh, yeah, it was
outside. I like,
mobbed outside.
okay, Sloan, you're gonna run. Lord, I can't run, but you can run. You got this. Like.
So it was a
have
great
to
fix.
schedule, I have to schedule extra staff for prize pickup, like
Wow.
that, and they had like the stanchions out for the
Yeah.
lines and. We did something different this year where instead of having prize pickup at the children's desk and the upstairs desk, for Saturday from 10 to noon, we had it in the meeting room.
Yeah, in here, yeah.
Because what also happened is you'd have like the patrons who came in who were like, I'm just trying to find a book, and I'm like, I cannot help you right now.
Yeah.
There's a computer and you're pretty much on your own for 2 hours, and then I can help people again, but, so. This worked out, Shanna was at the children's desk and could actually help people find books, and so I think we're gonna do this for summer reading too, so.
It's very fun. Good, very awesome, yeah.
I'm glad, I think we have a great staff and they really did a great job with the kids program, the teen program, the adult program. Am I just gonna can I go into the
Sure,
director's
yeah.
report since we're kind of here already?
Yep.
So we had great turnout for cozy reading. It was, statistics were a little bit lower this year, but we also had a week less of cozy reading because of where Thanksgiving fell in the calendar year. Because we do it the Saturday before Thanksgiving is when we start, and the Saturday after, New Year's is when we end. So it will also be the same time frame for next year too, because I think we've got one more year of this really late Thanksgiving before it moves back to the other way. I
Yeah.
don't like it either.
Yeah.
wish I was in control of that, but. So that was great. So, we also have 3 open positions for on-call staff at the library right now. We've had it's less than a week that it's been open and I have already 25 applications. So we're getting lots of applications, so that's great. We'll be able to bring on, hopefully 3 people and, that will help fill in some gaps. I am taking a look at tomorrow. I have to wait until tomorrow because there's only one computer I can view the door count on. And it's in circulation and it's one of the ones where circulation staff help patrons out. So I'm gonna be taking a deeper look at statistics to see if we are gonna go back to the same hours we had before, or is this a good opportunity to do a little bit of changing things around? So, but I want to take a deeper look into the statistics to get some more information. And I love that we have those, so I can divide it up between hours, open hours as well. So that will be helpful. I'm hoping mid to late February to be able to open the hours, the evenings back up, to have at least one other evening where it's actually pretty quiet on evenings in the library unless we have programming. So I do think we need 2 later evenings during the week for programming as well, but I'm not sure that we need 3. And maybe I would be able to do better staffing, not being open quite so late on one of those evenings. As you know, our library does a lot of programming and that does take a lot of staff time too. So just trying to balance that out.
Did DMD ever come back?
It hasn't come back yet, but one of our new circulation person would also be very interested in bringing D&D back, so I'm hopeful for that one. Yeah, and I don't know that I've got a whole lot more than that. We've had more closures because of the holidays as we do during this last month. Any specific questions?
Just to circle back, Library Foundation report, they didn't meet since our last meeting, and then last board meeting, excuse me, and then Library Friends report.
And then library friends report, so they had their annual meeting, but they didn't have their financial report yet. So I won't know until February how much the friends are able to give to the library for donation this year. I will tell you what I would like to do with the funds from the donation, which is kind of moving toward a really big project for the library. The very front of the library with the brick stairs is not welcoming, very slippery. And it's hard for people to see the ramp as well. And if you've noticed, a lot of the bricks are coming up and need to be redone as well too. So this has been something that we've needed to do, and it's, in my mind, it's reaching a point where we really need to start moving forward on this. What I would really like to do is have a front entrance so that you don't have to have a separate entrance from people who have trouble walking or strollers or anything like that. Everybody can just come in the same entrance together, which would mean, a lot of change in the front. But it's been 40 years and it's time to make those changes.
Is it something that we could do because that amphitheater space has never worked.
Mhm.
Is it something that possibly that can be incorporated into a I don't know, a more round kind of way of getting in or something
Yeah.
like that,
So what I would like to start using the funds from the friends, and I think I would also need to fundraise for this as well, is to get, and I don't know if you call it an architectural rendering or, just find out here, what is possible, right? At this point, I don't know, I need to meet with somebody this month about this, just kind of to get a ballpark, because I don't know what kind of money I'm talking about for that at all. And then once we have the plans, then we'll also be able to go forward with fundraising, because then we'll know what are we looking into. I do expect to look for grants that are also incorporating the ADA changes that we're making too. I think that that will be really helpful. And what I would like to ask about too is, you know, we do have that terrible amphitheater. And is this something that we can, what I kind of want is two different plans. Like, what's one without that and what's one with that? Because I do think it will be a lot more expensive to do something with that because you're talking about.
Knocking something out.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're not talking about as much as it would be to then go back and do that project at another time, right? So it might be a great opportunity and we might just have to see what kind of funds are available and see if it's scalable or, you know, what we need to do for
Is
that.
this road or this road right here that goes in, is that non-negotiable? Would you not want to remove that?
So this area out here is a street and not a parking lot, which makes it a little bit more complicated than it might otherwise be. I told Will that I was not interested in asphalt at all because it will not look nearly as nice as if we did some kind of concrete that had maybe even some, you know, different designs in it or something like that. And I'm not gonna be the library director who makes our library less appealing than our beautiful library is, because that's also really important to me too. So,
I'm only asking about this street because originally when they made the plans in the amphitheater, they didn't think that was gonna be there, right? So,
They thought it was a parking lot and didn't realize it was a street. And so that made it so that they smushed up our amphitheater into a space that was really not usable at all.
Yeah. so
So.
the street stays no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I can't change the street. I can change how the street looks. And we now have a concrete crew at the city. So we probably will also be able to use some, I don't know if it's state, federal kind of funding as well, if we're redoing this area too. So what we're shooting for right now is for the work to be done in 2027. Which means
Wow.
I've got a lot of work to do in a pretty short period of time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Moving on to unfinished business, updates on strategic plan.
all right, so you have your notebook and do you prefer Jesse or Jessica?
That's interesting. We had to do, I prefer Jessie, I guess.
Okay,
It's a longer story, but
okay,
only because there's so many Jessicas that I work with, we all had to take a different form. Because we all are Jessicas with an H.
oh,
So we have a Jess, we have a Jessie, we have a Jessica, and for a while we had a Jessica H, because we have 4.
well, you are the only one in this group, so
So
we will call you.
I'm
whatever one you
very
want.
used to answering to Jessie, and that's how I send my emails, so.
Okay,
We
Great.
can just do that.
Jesse.
Okay, sounds good. So Jesse, in your notebook,
Yes.
you have a strategic plan. And I am just realizing that when I took all of this through the copier today, I left my sticky notes on it
I
for
actually
you.
really like that. I think it's really cute.
So now you know what I was thinking. too.
Yeah, done.
That's hilarious.
Okay, so updates, what I really wanted to update you on was, let me find which objective it is. I guess it is helpful, because now you know which ones we've completed and which ones we're still until. I do think objective D, although I had marked it as complete because of the changes that we made, you know, becoming a welcoming and accessible space that reflects the cultural diversity in the community it serves, that's ongoing, right? So whatever kinds of changes we're making too, we're also going back to that, and that will be the front as well. Although we'll have a new strategic plan by that point. Yeah. Sorry, should have marked that. And that. I guess I guess it would fall mostly under, objective B. Because we've been talking for a while and, Suzanne, who has stepped off of the board, also knows about this. She's very passionate about this as well, but we have an agreement, that was signed in 2018, I believe, with the Newberg graphic that says that we can digitize all of the Newberg graphics. But they can't be available just to anyone online, so they can really only be available if somebody's coming in the building and looking through that. But the opportunity there too is that, we will use, OCR, and so it will be keyword searchable as well. And of course, with older newspapers, that also, I mean, it's a really helpful thing, but it's also not a perfect thing because spellings change, something is misspelled, or something isn't maybe as visible as you might think it is. So it's not perfect, but it's a much better solution than paging through all of the bound graphics that we have right now. So instead of starting that last year, there was a flood at City Hall. And so the camera that we need for that was not available to us during that time. So what we're going to be doing, maybe with Julia's help as a volunteer, will be using the scanner that's being set up. It might be set up by now. I think they were gonna do that this week. But basically there's an overhead camera that has kind of a cradle that will be able to put the bound Newberg graphics in and be able to start scanning those. So what we'll do is we'll take over a year at a time, and we'll start with the very oldest Newberg graphics. And then we'll work with volunteers to, first of all, Audrey and I will also learn how to do the scanning, but we'll work with volunteers to be able to scan that. And then we'll have a computer station upstairs in probably next to the other computers that people will be able to go to and find information. And we'll also be able to help people when we get reference questions, which we do that, looking for certain obituaries or, other things like that too. So this will be really, really good. And I'm so excited that one, we've got the technology available in the city, and two, it also didn't have to come out of my budget. But we will be paying for the database where all of that is stored too. So yeah, it'll be good. That was good. I think that is my only update on the strategic plan at the moment. Are there any other questions?
So we're not gonna start to update the strategic plan this year. We'll do that next year.
Yes, because it goes through 2026. So in 2026, we'll work on the next strategic
Okay.
plan. And if anyone has experience with that, I would love to hear about it. It's not something that I have been in charge of before, so I'd be interested in hearing.
Who built this one?
Will build
done.
this one, yeah. And I know it was during the pandemic, so I know that there were some additional challenges with.
Mm.
market. So that's what I want for strategic planning. And Jesse, if you have any questions about that, you can always email or call me, or
Okay.
we can talk about any of that too. So.
Moving on to new business. Elect new board chair and vice chair.
Also, there's nothing that says you can't keep being chair.
I think our current chair does a fantastic job.
So do I. I will
personally.
nominate our
So-
current chair to stay as chair.
I second.
I'll second, yeah.
Okay.
Right, decision.
Okay,
Okay.
B, check on dates and times. We're done with that, so
You gotta elect it. You gotta elect a new vice chair.
I think she.
You do have to
Great.
vote
Vote on the chair,
Yeah, you do have to vote on the chair, and you also do need to elect a vice chair. So I will tell you, it's a pretty low key role, would you say?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
So so pretty low key and
Extremely important,
extremely
but
important.
low key.
And if you want Amanda's autograph later.
She'd be happy to
sometimes
give it
she-
to you.
And it comes with a parking spot.
Oh, my goodness. And a crown. Does, right?
I'll nod my head.
So do we do we do position by position? Like, so we had a first and a second motion
Sure.
on chair.
Sure.
I think
All
we
in
were
favor
kind of
say,
joking.
yeah,
but
okay,
Are you,
yeah.
do you
sure, I
want
can
to?
do it, yeah.
Okay.
Let's
wanna make it a-
yes.
I'm so excited, I'd love to be chair. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, and then you
Great.
need a vice chair.
All right, now I need a vice chair.
Okay, I'll nominate myself,
Oh,
Yeah,
wonderful.
yes.
or
Second
volunteer
that,
or whatever it
yes.
is.
Excellent.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That was fantastic.
Great.
Yes.
Very good at making
decisions.
Yes, yes,
I
of course.
could do the motion thing for that. one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You have to do the motion.
Oh, do we have to-
Oh, I guess we do. So.
I
so you
volunteered.
Volunteered.
Oh.
Did Tim make the
Somebody
motion?
motion. and somebody-
I seconded, but I will make the motion.
Okay,
Yeah. if you need to.
great.
So,
And who's gonna?
And then seconded. will
I'll
be-
second it.
Okay, 10 seconds.
We need to say it again. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we did it.
Ew, look at that.
All right, moving on to check on dates and times for New Year. For the meeting.
For the meeting.
For the meeting.
So. You have some conflicts. For the day of the week. Right?
I do. I have conflicts with May, June, July. When we currently have, if we were to do it the third Thursday of every
Uh-huh.
month, I have a conflict with those weeks I'm traveling.
So the other thing is that the board meets 10 times a year, so there's twice a year when we don't meet. Last year, we decided not to meet in July and August.
Mm.
So, but it's flexible as to what we do. I think, December before has been one that we sometimes have taken off. But it doesn't, I mean, it's totally up to you, and it is harder to get people here during the summer as well, so. I mean,
But I have to say, last year, I was so pleased because while I was away, I was able to use Zoom to
Mhm.
participate.
Mm.
So
Which
that
is
has
always an
been
option, yeah.
hugely helpful, so that you can be away, and if you have access to Zoom, you can still
Mhm.
participate, so you're not really gone.
True. Does anyone have any other conflicts that they know of at this time?
No.
Okay, and it was May, June, July? I mean, I think, taking off June and July,
Not a big
I
deal.
don't think would be a problem if we.
Those are the 2 months that we would take
we
then
could
for the
decide
year
to
again.
post for that.
Okay.
Oh, actually, that would be really helpful because Juneteenth is
Mhm.
June
One of the
19th, and it's one of our
And
holidays.
it's
So I
Thursday.
did need to figure that one out anyway, so.
Okay.
So if we just say that we're not meeting in June and then don't meet in July, which has been a hard month to get everybody at. I think that just kind of solves that problem right there then. The other question I would have is, as far as I'm concerned, we can start the meeting at whatever time works for the entire group. So if you want to meet earlier, if you want to meet at 6 instead of 7, if you want to keep 7, I'm good with whatever, so.
How's it work for kids? You know, like having dinner.
It's okay, yeah. They're fine for one. Yeah,
So if you're out, the house doesn't fall apart then.
I mean, we'll see if they're where they're at, if they're gonna be there in their beds, but it's okay, but thank you. If anyone else has an issue or needs to change it, I'd be open to the idea, but I also am happy to make this time work because it's fine, yeah. It's good.
Well, I kind of would like 6, because then I could go to the Mystery and Thriller Book Club, but,
That's right, book club this one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
That is true,
Oh.
that is true. Yes,
but I'm amenable for either time, so it doesn't matter.
Does 6 o'clock work for others?
Mhm. Yeah.
6 o'clock works?
Sure.
Well, 6 o'clock sounds great then. And that way, if we have a longer meeting, while Julia might miss the beginning of Mystery Thriller Book Club upstairs, but it would mean that we're not staying too terribly late too, so not that it happens very often. But change time to 6 p.m.
We need to make
Oh,
motion.
I think it would be good to make a motion to set the schedule. Just talking about those changes.
So for taking June and July off and for changing the time, right?
Consistently to 6 p.m. Yeah,
And then that takes effect next month.
yes.
Okay.
Do that.
So I make a motion to move our meetings to 6 p.m. and take off. And we will not meet in June and July of this year.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good evening. The library will be closing in about 30 minutes. If you'd like to sign up for a library card today, please fill out an application at the circulation desk in the next 15 minutes. Thank you.
I really miss Katie not jumping.
Jumping.
Every time they make that.
So there's no
Our,
one.
our
going.
previous student, which the student position
That
is
student
still
was in my
open.
class.
Oh my gosh.
She was my second grader,
Isn't it
Aw.
and so was her sister.
No.
She's been
Yes,
coming to
I've
the
known that
library
family for a
long
very long
time.
time.
Yes,
Mhm.
so Katie would jump like
Yeah,
2 feet every time.
she's always been a little bit. Yeah.
The whole year it happened. It was very entertaining.
So if we know somebody who would be interested,
Please,
Mhm.
yeah.
I don't, but yeah.
Yeah, if we know somebody who would be interested, I need to do a little bit of more work too on, getting applications just out in the teen area, and I have reached out specifically to people that I know, and so far nobody has been interested. I mean, everybody has been very busy, and so,
Is there an age requirement? Do they need to be in high school?
it's high school or college,
Oh,
either one,
okay.
yeah,
I know some people,
okay. You know
I'll
what,
ask.
you would know some people,
I know
wouldn't you?
some people.
That would be great.
But we run into like, it's, if they're a senior that's intending to like go away to school. And
Yes.
it ends up like, because it's a calendar year.
Yes,
yes,
appointment,
it
so then we
becomes an
don't,
issue.
yeah.
So like a junior would
So,
be a
yeah,
little
that
bit more
makes sense.
preferable.
Yeah.
yeah, a junior.
Or
would
a
be
freshman or
great.
sophomore in college where they're not gonna leave.
Yeah, somebody either at community college or at George Fox. Yeah. That would be great. Library user is always my favorite kind of person. Yeah, thank you. And I'll email you the application.
That sounds great. I've got like 3 people that I feel like I could, I won't bully anyone, but I'll ask.
So I thought for advisory board training, ideas and feedback, the first thing I wanted to do, I thought whenever we have new board members, it's also just kind of a nice thing to run over with everybody. What's in the notebook and, see if there's any questions or changes that need to be made too. And then I would also like to hear if anybody has any additional ideas on things that they're interested in learning more about. Did you all get the email are you able to get into your email?
Yes, I got it. Yeah, and then now I have trainings that I will complete. They were due before I got in. But she
Oh.
assured me it's fine.
It is fine, yeah. And also, so there were additional trainings that were sent out by Rachel, but they are also long. They're like, all of them I was looking at were at least an hour long. So, so first of all, you are not required to do any of those. And if you want like notes on those, I can provide those for you as well. But we could also decide to do one as a group too, if you guys were interested in that. But I think one was an hour and a half and one was an hour, so,
Are those the ones that you could sign up either virtually or in person?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so we've got your notebook, we've got, library procedures. which I have at the start, which is operating procedures, which I think is just kind of a helpful library board operating procedure, sorry. It's, just kind of a helpful overview of what the library board is and what they do. Minutes, I get those to you every month. I try to remember to hole punch them in case you just want to add them right into your notebooks as well. But they are all, of course, after they're approved by this group, then they do go up on the website. So they're also searchable if you're looking for any previous library minutes as well. And we are getting a new website that we'll be going to in February, thank goodness.
Nice, yeah.
That's awesome.
Terrible.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It'll
It
be
is terrible.
so much better. We also have the list of our library policies in here as well, and some of them we'll go through and work on again this year. So every year we update some of them. Some of them don't really change much, like the alcohol use policy, but I don't have any intention of changing that one, so that one can just stay as it is. Some of them are just library advisory board approved, and some of them need to go before city council. There isn't any really there isn't really any rule about which is which. We kind of look at it as if, is this something that the library, the city could possibly be sued over? Well, then it probably also needs the stamp of approval from the city council as well, so. That's kind of the informal way I look at those. I think our cell phone policy can definitely be updated again. And if you have any interest specifically in any of them, I'm definitely willing to either talk to you about it or, you know, also willing to take this to our library supervisors meet on every Wednesday morning for about an hour. And whenever we're doing, going to update a policy, that's the first group I take it to because they're the experts in the room. So we go over those all together. And then after they've had a chance to go through that, then I bring those to you to go over those. And let's see. That's kind of just a brief overview on that. We redid our library courtesy policy in a pretty major way in 2023. And that has been working out really well for us. I do also have under the codes and guidelines, that is a little bit more about library censorship and intellectual freedom. So those can be good tools to read over as well. We also have our STRIVE values that are our city values that are listed in there as well. And that's some of the trainings that you'll, that are specifically for Newberg, that are also listed in there. I also have Robert's rules, committee rules, and that's just a very brief version of those. And then we end with a strategic plan. So those are the resources that you have there. Is there any interest for the group doing one of the hour-long trainings, or is that something you would just prefer to have on in the background while you fold your laundry or make dinner? And then you can speed it up as fast as you want to. Whatever is, I'm good with however people want to do that too.
I'm good with self-paced.
Same.
Self-paced, sounds good.
Last fall, you handed us the input you give to the state
Oh,
for the library report. Would be interesting to hear, because you said at one point they give you a consolidated, to hear kind of how Newberg compares with the rest of Oregon and
absolutely.
all those things.
So that report often comes out in February, so that would be something good
For
to put
March
on the
or-
March, yeah.
Yeah. March or April, whenever you get the
Yeah.
report. But I think that would be
Good
really
idea.
interesting, because I looked through that and was like, well, some of these are nice, but how do we compare?
We compare well.
Well,
I
I
like to-
figured we probably
I'd be
did,
happy to
but,
brag about.
but it would be nice to actually see that and talk about
Yes,
that.
absolutely.
Or areas that you see in that, that the library board could help you either improve or publicize stuff
And also,
or
to be
whatever.
clear, there is always room for improvement. We stack up well in this, in the state libraries, but also like, yeah, there's always stuff we could be improving on too, so. Yeah. Good idea. Anything else people can think of right now?
Are we talking about the advisory board training ideas and feedback? Is that what we're? And we a little bit touched on this last month of, things that you would like the board to do, right? Is that what we're, okay. I'm wondering if there's something that the board can do and like future boards can do that is like their one thing that they do a year. Whether that be something as small as like a staff appreciation something, or it could be an event, or is there something that we could help with fundraising? And I'm not talking about, it doesn't have to be like a gala, but is there one thing that the library advisory board does this, and you can they can plan on it for every year or something like that.
I think as far as the library advisory board goes, my thinking on that is more, I would like us to have an elevator speech where where you say, I serve on a library board, and people say, what is that? Nobody reads books anymore. Like, what do you say to that when people say, oh, people are, kids these days, they don't read, stuff like that. I see the library advisory board as an advocacy group, but not as the fundraising. We can totally keep that with the foundation. I am gonna ask the library friends for a little bit of money for a staff appreciation. So I do think that's important too, and maybe there's an opportunity there to help out with something going on with that, but not, but I definitely want to keep the financial pieces of that separate from the library advisory board.
Right. Well, and I mean, when you think about what is the mission and the role of us,
Mhm.
can we make it distinct enough so people know that, right?
Absolutely,
So,
yeah.
fundraising in the sense of the library foundation, it's not part of the library advisory board. And with the fundraising coming up for the front door and possibly the front of the library,
Mhm.
is community
As like
advocacy.
ambassadors to
Yeah.
that, yes.
And then is that a part of our remit, right? So how do we have it be clear and distinctive enough so we know and the public can start to know
Mhm.
our role.
Mhm.
Yeah, it goes
Yeah.
back
In
to
a
that
more
whole elevator
defined
speech.
way, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, we'll start working on that. I like that idea a lot of just.
Defining what the three groups do and how,
Mhm.
but how we work together
Mhm.
to help
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
have a really good
Yeah.
library.
Mhm. Yeah. Great, thank you.
Is there overlap between those three things?
There is a little bit of overlap so Amanda serves on the library foundation as well. And on the library friends, Maria Andrew is on the library with the library friends group, and she also serves on the library foundation. So there's no one from this group so I'm the liaison with the library friends in that way. They're yeah, it would be good to talk about, maybe that's part of what we can do for next meeting too, is really, like you're saying, talk more about like, what does it mean to be a library friend? What does it mean to be a library foundation? And then we'll define more what it means to be on the library. Okay. Great.
Especially since we're an advisory board, we're not your oversight.
Mhm,
Because since you're a city department,
mhm,
you report to the city.
mhm,
We have no governance,
mhm.
so to speak, over you if you were dependent upon
Mhm.
us. So,
Yeah, and I think I think that's helpful to define because when you look at libraries throughout the nation, sometimes
they vary.
they, immensely, so sometimes you have the board that does hire and fire the library director, you
And
know.
And is in charge of the budget and everything
Right.
else.
All of that, but since we are part of the city, then it is a different kind of role. And it is important, like when I was hired in 2022. I don't know, it all.
Good
runs
evening. The library will be
Yes.
closing in about 15 minutes. If you still have items to check out or wish to make a payment today, please do so now. Thank you.
That is that is a place where the library advisory board does plays a big part in that as well, and I think that's really important. So,
I don't know if it needs to be like written down in a one page or elevator speech, but I do think it is important for us to try to be involved. And maybe that's not like a fun, like a staff appreciation party. Sounds like you got that covered. But we should, I would like to set a precedent of that, okay, here are the things that are going on in the library. Can one of us be there? Raise your hand for this month or something. So we can at least try to make an effort, and then we are representing the board, we're showing our support, and it's like a physical presence. And yeah, it does go along with this role. You are expected to be involved in the library and not just be a passive.
Right, show up for your
Remember.
hour a month and that's, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we don't have to maybe say it like that, but it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I think there should be some level of like engagement that we are required. I don't know,
Mhm.
required is the right word. but
Encourage.
Strongly
encouraged,
encouraged.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
I like that too, and we do have big events like the Public Works Day that we have in June is huge, like it is. It's also very loud. If there's any kind of noise issues that you have, this is not the event for you, but it's a whole city thing. It's the Public Works Department and the Police Department
Yeah.
and Planning Department, and we do invite the city councilors and other people too. And some people, with work schedules too, I totally understand some people are able to come and some people are not able to come, but for things like that too, yeah, that would be great.
Helping pass out.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and actually
would be
that
really
is
fun.
so much fun.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so much
Yeah.
fun to do.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
so
So
Even-
that is like thinking about opportunities that we might, yeah.
And talking through, like, what is a model board member on an advisory board?
Mhm.
Like, you don't have to do all 10 things that are listed, but like across
Yeah.
all of us, if we make
Yeah.
sure we've got like the strength across the board, then we know. I think it even helps with like future conversations the next time we open for a position on the board.
Right.
To be able to articulate to folks as they're
Yeah.
coming on the board, like what is expected of them,
Mhm.
in a way that.
Well, and we sort of had that discussion that, right, when we were doing, and we were selecting, it's like, well, what are we really looking for this time?
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, that sounds good, and we do have, I think also what I'll do for next month is have, more of a calendar set out too, now that we know when we are and are not meeting too. Just because we have two people who are stepping off, or whose terms end, I should say, in 2025, and so just to schedule that out and make sure we've got plans for that too.
Who is that?
It's Tim and I think it's you. I think it's you. I used to have that. I have it online actually. But if I go online, it'll mess up this, so, I'll send that out, so
then
everybody knows what the schedule is.
Can you re-apply? How does that work?
Yes, you can do, yes, because you can serve 2 consecutive terms before you take a break. I'll send you a list I have that also says when people stepped on too.
I think it's in the front of our,
Is it in the front?
yeah. Does the 2 consecutive terms count with the ones that we have to?
Yeah.
You and I,
I don't have an answer about that. And then also Tim's term was a little bit weird because when, not because of Tim.
I take that personal, young lady.
Because
yeah, here.
when one of our city recorders went through and went through the committees and said, okay, everybody's gonna have these terms, we're gonna stagger people on the board in a way that they hadn't been before for all of the city committees. And so some people had a little bit
Like bonus
different time, yeah, like I think,
Cause I came on filling somebody's, like,
Unserved term. or-
yeah, like a
Yeah.
year or something like that, and then it just re-upped after that,
Right,
So
and
did I.
that, so did, yeah, Sheree and I.
yeah.
I would just love to interview every year if I could. That'd be-
Oh.
You got better as you went.
Yeah.
It felt like it was like the minute after
You
It
nailed
did.
it.
joined the board that we had
Right.
to
Had to
then,
do it again.
like,
That was-
Oh.
Groundhog Day.
we like to poke fun at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that year, I felt like all we did
It
was
was-
interview,
it
do
was-
interviews for people. Yeah,
Good at it.
yeah. Yeah, we got our questions on a process down.
In our point system.
Yeah, and our-
From a board training idea standpoint, I don't know, like, this is sort of connected to the strategic planning conversation, but I would find it fascinating to hear from Will on what his process was when he went through that and like
yeah,
lessons learned or, any advice, not that we would have to follow exactly,
Yeah.
the process that he and you and the committee went through, but
that's a great idea.
Particularly later, that would be good for later this
Later,
year,
yeah,
so that we're
Exactly.
prepping ourselves for next year.
well, cause in 26,
We'll
do
have
it.
to
That's
be right,
So we
yeah.
don't have to have the plan ready for 26, we have to have it
No,
ready for
yeah.
27, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
maybe that's
maybe
what
that's what, I mean, maybe we do that in December, because we'll have to have had the interviews done already, because it goes to city council.
Yeah.
For appointments. In December, yeah.
Yeah,
that's a
sometime
good
in the
idea.
fall would be
Yeah.
useful.
Yeah, that plan took a while.
It did. Well, I wasn't on the board then, but I did
I
participate
was
in all the
thinking
stuff
you
that
Did,
came out, and
okay,
I had several chats with Will about that, so. Cause I did do that in
Not
a
to-
previous life.
That's anybody's know, but the Christmas Day is on the 4th Thursday in December.
But we meet.
Oh,
on
sorry,
the
we know,
third.
3rd Thursday,
Yeah.
sorry, wow, yeah. Duh,
That's why
sorry,
it's
oh
real
my
quiet there
goodness.
for a minute. Who wants to tell it first?
Yeah, sorry,
Who's gonna break the news?
oh my goodness.
And 6 o'clock is gonna work out
Yeah.
really
I
good,
know.
I'm thinking.
Sorry, guys.
Amanda and I have had long days.
Yeah, that's not fair.
all right, these are great, thanks for all of these ideas, and we'll start putting those together. And then anything else you think of too, you can either, email me or can talk about it as a group and
Great.
figure those things out. Right,
All right, moving on to library resource of the month.
I have 2 little ones to talk about this month. One is, not everybody knows about this, but it's super popular. So do you know that we have a puzzle exchange upstairs? So at the
It is
at the
great.
reference desk, on both sides of the desk, if you don't know this, Jessica Otto actually, who's the adult services librarian, actually designed the desk. Will said, tell me what you want, and boy, did she.
Oh.
She thought of It's a
That's
great, I mean, it's a beautiful desk, but it's also super functional. So on, if you're looking at the desk, on both sides, there are shelves. And that's where the puzzle exchange is. So it's a one-to-one exchange. Although if you see something you like and don't happen to have a puzzle with you, please take it. We do have more in a closet someplace too, so.
And you can bring more than you take.
And you can bring more than you take. In December, a lot of people bring more than they take. A lot of people are cleaning stuff out. So anyway, there's just all kinds of puzzles. If it doesn't have all its pieces, please don't exchange it. That sounds like a good puzzle for crafting or recycling. But it's extremely popular, and how we keep track of those stats is we just have a little tally sheet. So if you take one, just mark it on there, and then that counts as what we call passive programming for the library. That's one of our passive programs. Maybe I should do a whole thing on passive programs. I'll talk about that for next month. I actually did a presentation at the Oregon Library Conference last year on that, so I have some great slides too.
Is it all skill level puzzles?
Yes, so sometimes we even get those giant kid floor puzzles.
Oh,
Those are fun.
Those are
Yeah.
great, yeah. And then, of course, you have people who are like, they keep their eye open for specific kinds of puzzles that they like. The ones that are about 500 to 700 pieces are the most popular, 'cause it seems to be, works best for lots of people. So anyway.
And then there's
very
that
fun.
2,000-piece zebra puzzle.
Oh,
Is it just been there for a while? Nobody wants it?
Oh, no, I have it at home right now,
Oh,
but,
How's it going?
that's a lot of pieces.
it's a lot of pieces and it's all black and white, except for
Yeah.
one little piece of blue at the top, which is really easy to put
Yeah.
together.
wow,
Awesome. That's cool.
yeah. All right, next one is
So yes, the puzzle exchange. is
the
good.
Puzzle Exchange, very popular. We also have a new flyer that Tiffany is just putting out on Talking Books and Braille Library. So the Talking Book and Braille Library, or TBABS as they call it at the State Library, is a resource that is available for Oregonians for free if they have a print disability. Which can mean dyslexia, or it can also mean it means a person who cannot read the standard 12-point font for long periods of time. So there's lots of resources available through the state that's all free to people, and it comes through the mail, so it's delivered right to their house. I had somebody in a couple of weeks ago who has a disability where he knows that there's letters on the page, but he is now unable to read what the letters are. And it's a cognitive issue that's just come up in the last year or so. And so one thing we're able to do is point people in the direction or give them an application to the Talking Books and Braille Library. And then as librarians, we can also sign off as the person who's saying, yes, they do need this service. So that can be someone like, their doctor can also do that, but I'm very grateful that we're able to do that as well, because we're like, we're talking to this person and we've explained what it is and we understand that they need the service.
Mhm.
So that's something that we can sign off on, and then we just pass those applications directly to the state library, and then they take care of those. So the kinds of things that they're able to give people, and I won't go into all of them because I also probably don't understand all of them, but some of it can be a better access to the online ebooks or e-audiobooks than we have available to people just through our regular services. Some of it is actual devices that they send to people where you can speed up or slow down the talking in a way that is even more finely tuned than what you can do on your online with your device. And also Braille books, of course, and those actually all come out of, this was interesting, for the whole country, they actually have a repository in Utah that those come out of. So it's it all comes through the mail, and it's free for people to send it back and, it's just a really great service too, so. So if you know anybody who needs those services, and we do reach out to the school district too, to make sure that people know that we can, we're happy to, stop by and sign off on something, or,
Yeah,
people
that
can
was
be
my
sent to the
question.
library. Yeah, we will, if somebody needs us to come to their home, we'll do that as well, so, we send 2 staff people at a time, something like
Yeah.
that, but yeah, we're just trying to get people to have access to services in whatever way reading is gonna work for them, so. Yeah,
That's very
it's a
cool.
really,
That's really
really good
good.
program.
Yeah.
for the state.
Well, I happen to be the person who worked with the most people who would maybe need to use those services, so that's great.
Excellent.
I will pass that on to some parents that
Great.
are feeling a little concerned.
Yeah, and we did, last year, we also worked with, I wanna call it COA, but it's,
Yes.
is that,
Mhm.
okay. So there were some families who, had some print disabilities as well. And I don't know that anyone ended up using this or going through us to use
Yeah.
those services.
The library is now closed. We will reopen to the public tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening and thank you for visiting the Newberg Public Library.
But we definitely, make sure that people have access to filling out those.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. All right, any questions about that? All right.
Great, the next meeting is February 20th at 6 PM. And anyone else have anything to say or have questions? No. Meeting adjourned.
Exactly 8 o'clock.
Wow.
So
Being sliding chair, it's really good at it.